I'm going to share with you 10 really reasonable things that my husband and I did to become debt-free without having to sacrifice too much in our lifestyle. If you guys stick around until the end, I will also tell you the one extreme thing that we did to be able to move into financial independence. When I was 35 years old, my husband and I were making probably around $225,000 a year, and we were living paycheck to paycheck. It didn't take us long to figure out that it wasn't an income problem we had, it was a debt problem. And I think this is true for many Americans today. These 10 approaches helped my husband and I pay off a car, credit cards, and our house. Without any further ado, here are the 10 items. Number 1, I wrote down my debt repayment plan every single month. It's already been said in a multitude of videos that writing down your goals increases the likelihood of the goal being achieved. So every single month, I would rewrite my debt repayment plan with the new balances, and it was a huge motivator for me. It kept me on track, and it kept me excited about our goal, and I was regularly talking about it and updating my husband regarding where we were, how much progress we made, and what we still had ahead of us. To be honest with you, we didn't originally plan to pay off the house, but after we paid off the credit cards and after we paid off my car, because my husband's car was already paid off, we realized let's just keep this ball rolling and get rid of the house payment too. And that's how that came about. But looking at that goal every single month and seeing the progress we made was so uplifting, even when it felt daunting. It was a weird paradox. I can't explain it, but it created in me the sheer belief that it was going to happen for us, and I believe it could happen for you too. The second thing that we did is we tried to beef up how much money we had in our paychecks. What that looked like for us was reducing our 401k contributions to just 6%. Prior to that, we had been contributing about 12% each, and we realized that yes, it's wonderful to save for retirement, but right now we have this urgent need. And because we wanted our paychecks to be bigger, I was honestly tempted to go all the way down to zero and just beef our paychecks up as much as we could to completely annihilate that debt as fast as possible. But my husband reminded me, and I agree with him to this day, it's much better for us to take any free money that's given to us. And so we reduced it down to what the company would match, which for us was 6%. If your company matches at 3%, drop down to that. But having that extra breathing room in your paycheck so that you can make those extra debt payments will really help you move the needle quickly. Similar to that, item number 3 was we reduced how much we had in savings. We had been squirreling money away in a lot of different places. We had probably about 3 to 4 months worth of monthly expenses in savings accounts, a few different savings accounts, and then we also had a brokerage account. What we decided to do was to pull that money and bring it together into a single place and then drop it down to about 2 months worth of living expenses. That allowed us to make one whopper payment of about $12,000 to various loans, and to be honest with you, that's what ultimately wiped out our credit card. That was when we made that decision, that was what contributed to the final payments to our credit cards. Of course, once you're debt free, you get back to work on rebuilding that emergency fund, which is exactly what we did. And it only took 3 months after our final car payment for us to get our emergency fund back where we wanted it to be. Item number 4 on my list is probably one of the hardest things that we did, but we committed to only eating out once per pay period. We went essentially to eating out only once every 2 weeks because we were paid every other week. If this feels unrealistic to you because you're currently eating out 4 or 5 days a week, try cutting it in half. Hand in hand with that comes item number 5, which is meal planning. I must confess, during our debt repayment period is when I really learned how to cook. It's when I learned how to make staple foods for our household, and it's where I got really good at a few things like chicken piccata and lasagna. I'm not gonna lie, mine are pretty good. That being said, I was really smart after a few months of not trying to wing it at the grocery store. I made sure that I knew what I was going to make for a week. I would plan the meals out on Saturday and I would go shopping Saturday afternoon. It was really important to me that I wasn't buying just a subset of the ingredients I needed for the dishes that I was making, and it was also really important to me that I wasn't buying a lot of extra odds and ends. As a bonus tip, whenever possible, I would leave my kids with my husband if he didn't have some other thing that he had going on. And the reason for that is when you're shopping with little kids, it's super hard to constantly say no to the extra candies or the little toys or the knick-knacky type things that they have at the end caps. So absolutely, meal planning was a must. And I also want to be really clear, it was meal planning, not meal prepping. I did try meal prepping for a while, but that was just too much work for me. I would rather just cook my food fresh every day, but it certainly helped me to know what it was that I would be making. Item number 6 is one that felt really hard, but in the end wasn't hard at all, and that was canceling cable. We went from removing cable to having just Netflix and Prime, and frankly, we didn't watch that much TV to begin with, so I'm not sure why I was so scared about that. In the end, it ended up being kind of easy breezy, and looking back, it should have been a no-brainer, even though it really took us a long time to come to that conclusion. Sometimes when we're struggling with this idea of what to give up and what to keep, we could be best served by having a really good understanding about where we're headed and what we value. I've created this wonderful workbook. It's called the Big Picture Workbook, and it's got some great tips on different approaches to debt repayment. So it'll teach you about the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, but also the cash flow method and the emotional baggage method. More than that, it will teach you about how to paint a vision for your future, how to understand your values, and how to make sure that those things are represented in your budget. When it comes to cutting things out, the most important thing to remember isn't that you have to say no to everything, it's that you have to say yes to the most important things and no to everything else. I believe the Big Picture Workbook can help you figure that out. Item number 7 is use your windfall money wisely. So what do I mean by windfall money? I mean gifts, bonuses, and if you are a lotto scratcher kind of person, if you ever win a scratcher. Anytime you come into money that isn't expected. The rule of thumb that we always had for windfall money was that 1/3 of it would be for an enjoyable thing for the family, or for something materialistic, to be honest with you. And then the other 2/3 would go toward our debt repayment. By taking this approach, we really gave ourselves permission to have some fun while we were still paying off debt. As a matter of fact, using this approach is what ultimately made it possible for us to start funding our trip to Europe. We took a trip to Europe during this time that was paid for with cash while we were still in the process of paying off our debt. I do believe it's possible still to enjoy your life. You're just going to throttle how much you enjoy your life while you're in the process of building that financial freedom. Item number 8 is to get some side hustle money going on. My husband drove Uber, he participated in projects to help drywall for other people, and I tried my hand at a little retail arbitrage by buying some things on consignment or through sales and then trying to resell them on the internet. That helped us be able to pay our debt off all that much more quickly. Item number 9 is shopping consignment. If you watch some of my older videos, you might know that I used to have a tremendous love for designer handbags. I still have a little love for them, so don't let me fool you here, but my lifestyle and my approach to shopping has become a lot more casual. However, I do still love some designer handbags, and I have found that I can find them online through consignment for really amazing prices. But we've had success not just buying handbags through consignment and secondhand stores, we've also bought really beautiful Patagonia clothing as part of their worn wear. My husband, likewise, has found Facebook Marketplace as a great place to find tools that you can purchase secondhand. We've gotten exercise gear, and more than that, if you have something that you're looking to get rid of, you can also consign your items or sell them on these platforms. I have absolutely sold clothes that my children have outgrown on Poshmark, and I've also consigned several handbags that are just not my style anymore, and I've decided to move on. And that brings me to item number 10, which is the idea of repairing something and maintaining something versus replacing it. Being willing to look into the things that you have and figuring out if there's a way for you to fix it yourself and getting another 1, 2, 3, or even 7 years out of it can save you a lot of money in the long run. So this is why my husband are so keen on buying high quality items and maintaining them well, because we do believe that you can buy less when you buy better. Part of the trick to that is being willing to do the work to keep it looking nice. All right, guys, that's my list of 10, I believe, really reasonable things that you can do to pay off debt and to pay off debt quickly. In the end, between the credit cards, the car, and the house, we paid off $267,000 worth of debt. If you stuck around to the end to hear the extreme thing that we did, I will tell you that that extreme thing was moving from a high cost of living area to a low cost of living area. This was a game changer for us. Being able to sell our house in Colorado and purchase another house outright in Missouri was a big deal. And not just that, it gave us a new down payment for our first investment property. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one.